And some news about a potential new console on Twitter was semi-announced yesterday.
Oh, yeah. So there is potentially an Intellivision 2020 Founders Edition pre-order.
Amico.
Happening. Intellivision Amico Founders Edition. This is just a potential thing at the moment, but Tommy Tallarico, head of Intellivision, said they're considering doing a special limited edition Founders Edition. They would limit the pre-orders to only 2020 machines. Individually hand-signed and numbered vintage wood grain console, a $50 RFID metal golden ticket gift certificate to use to purchase Amico games, limited edition 3D lenticular Running Man poster signed by the entire Intellivision Amico team. Getting the console shipped to you a few days before the rest of the world. Special drawing only for founding members. Grand prize is a trip for two to California to get a personal tour of Intellivision and to help us create and design a game. And they're putting it out there for people to reply to and see if it would be a good idea. Timing on this is interesting to me because that pre-order sounds like 2020 of machines. That sounds kind of like crowdfunding.
It's when it's a venture that when it's a company that hasn't put out a product before.
Yeah. And
they're asking for pre-orders. It then falls into the same category as something like you want to bring up the Atari VCS, you can, because you're asking for money for the promise of a product to come out. It's crowdfunding. So I'm not putting it down. I think crowdfunding could be something beneficial. But one of the tenets of this potential product was that it was not going to have to use crowdfunding to get off the ground. But obviously, for a console, any new console is going to require hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not a couple of million. And especially if you build in, if you have a team that you're supporting to make exclusive games, this is a lot of money that you need. So it's not bad on its surface, but the timing to me is not alarming. But I would start thinking about why now and not a year ago or when it was first announced. Like, why does it happen now when it's 10 months before this console is supposed to launch? And when you look at the amount, doing some pat math,
it'd be $606,000 at $300 a system, which is what they're saying the Founders Edition. That's what they're knocking around for the amount on the Founders Edition, which is insane. That's expensive. Granted, you get 50 of that back
that you have to spend, but it's still $300.
Yes.
So now you're looking at, is this just you need money to help either not to keep this going, but you need to show that there's interest potentially in this product, and this is your quickest way to do it. But who are you showing interest to if you're doing that? And that's the question. One of the things that no one has really discussed when it comes to the Amico is who's actually funding this. How much investment money is in this, and where is it coming from? And usually I wouldn't care about that, but the reason I think it's interesting for a product like this is because on a video game console, you just not only need enough money to get it made, you need the funding to market it and to have it survive at least a year or so to make sure it's ingrained in the market to keep going.
Sure.
Because a lot of game consoles aren't in the black when it comes to profit for a year, 2, 3. Some Sony consoles, they weren't profitable for a while.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily true, but the old line used to be you lose money on the console and make money on the games.
Sure. So what I'm saying is this isn't like crowdfunding for a piece of luggage or let's just say a certain book, because at that point, once you have the money to create the product, you're done. It's done. The product comes out and it's available and people can buy it or not. For a console, there's so much more involved with it that you might need a lot more money. I saw something that was posted on Atari Age where Tommy said, they're planning a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign. I saw a post for that. So when you think about that, this isn't, you're going to need that funding coming from somewhere. You're not going to get the money from consoles that come out and then market it because it's already going to be out in the marketplace. You need the money way beforehand.
Right.
So this is $600,000 potentially that they could use, for whatever they want. I'm not sure what they would need it for. I'm not in their position. I'm not working in their offices. But the other thought occurred to me that this is a proof of concept that there's interest in this product. Sure. This is a form of market research. That's a good thing about crowdfunding. Is it not just works as a pre-orders. It's a form of market research. It can show if people are interested or not.
Right.
So there could be current investors. I'm just theorizing. I don't know. Current investors that may not are sure, or this could be a way for Tommy to say, look how much interest. Look, we sold out in 24 hours, 2,000 consoles. You can use that information to go to potential new investors with.
Right.
Otherwise, if I'm investing in something like this, I'll be like, how do you know people will buy this? And that's one of the main issues we have. Is we have no idea what the market is for this. And if I'm going to put in potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars as an investor, you got to show me that there's interest in this.
Right.
And it's not enough some YouTube channel with people that own the Intellivision 40 years ago to say, oh, I'm going to buy this. That doesn't mean shit. Will their average person want to buy this? The problem with this campaign, though, that this is so banking on nostalgia for the Intellivision, that this, as market research to me, is totally useless in the main marketplace anyway. Because the only people I see pre-ordering this are people that are in love with the Intellivision brand and the console that Mattel put out in 1980.
Right.
So it's I'm not saying it's bad to do something like this, but I'm not sure how much information we get out of this, if this even sells out within a week or within 5 days or 24 hours. I don't know.
I think it does. I mean, that's not to say anything about whether I think there's a place for this console or not. I think it sells out 2020 consoles, just based on, granted, we'd have to
I didn't say it wasn't going to sold out, but I don't know what it tells you.
Oh, sure.
And the amount of time.
I mean, the Atari VCS did 11,000 backers. I don't know how many of those were actual consoles, but if there was 11,000 backers...
11.6K backers.
Yeah, and then I feel like, there's a good chance that the true believers would be on board to back 2020 units of this. Although that does seem like a lot of units for a limited edition thing. Just, okay, we want to make the number of the year.
Yeah, see, like something like the Polymega just had open pre-orders.
Right.
So why not just do open pre-orders? Is it the fact that maybe you would cap out a certain place and then that looks bad?
Yeah, it's possible.
But then again, if it's pre-orders, you don't have to be public with that information. If I do open pre-orders and I don't say what it is, if someone asks me, I say, well, it's sort of proprietary. I don't have to tell you. Because then if it dies out at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 over a month or two, that'd be bad if the public knew that, but at least you have the money from it, and at least it gets you closer to where you're going to go financially.
Sure.
Here. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Nothing too positive or negative, but to me, the timing is what's so strange about this. That's the thing. There could be something going on. You just don't know what it is. All I know is this: is that if the Atari VCS did 11,000 backers, I would expect this to fall below that for pre-orders, just naturally, just because the Intellivision, in terms of marketplace awareness, if you want to say it's maybe a quarter of what Atari is to the average person, if you're being generous.
Sure.
So it could sell out. I'm not saying it's good or bad if it does, but it'll hopefully be better than that other digital Intellivision Kickstarter from a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
because there was 100 people interested in that.
Yeah, it
was bad. It was really bad. So above that, but probably below the Atari VCS, it would probably do if they did a Kickstarter. I don't know if a Kickstarter would be a horrible idea for something like this. I don't know if it would. If you just went out and say, hey, we're doing a Kickstarter for this, because then maybe if Atari raised a few million, maybe you raise 1 million, and that's better than nothing. At least to get you where you're going. But I don't know. It's interesting, the idea to not do the Kickstarter, because if you get investors who buy into it, you then have your funding, and for sure it's going to come out. You can produce it if you have your costs in line, but then you don't know if that means it's a success or failure. Because if it can get to the marketplace, it doesn't mean it's a success. It means you use your investors' money to have it on the shelves. It doesn't mean anyone's going to buy it, but at least you got to to that first. Basically, that's just. A console's lifespan starts when it's on the shelves. That's not when it ends.
Right.
Fair enough. So, okay.